when I got the head coaching job, I was about 7.5 months pregnant with my son. So he was born September 10th, and I had been head coach for a very short time. I had hired 2 brand new assistants. They didn't even know where the library, they didn't know where anything was. So I had him 6 days later. I was back on campus giving a dual recruiting visit, and I walked that whole thing for 2 miles. Yeah, and I was 6 days after having a child was not a good idea. We get over to the side, and it's their time to take defense, and we're washing them, and we're doing our thing, and we pull together, and I'm like, you know, and I'm going to try to be careful with my language, but I was like, these girls are talking trash, and we better get after it and kick their butt. I mean, I'm saying in a very PG way now.
Of course.
But I was fired up, and I was like, we better do this, you know? And they were like, oh, okay, all right, freshman, you know, like, holy cow. Our first batter hit a leadoff first pitch home run over the fence. We get down to my spot in the batting order. That was my first ever home run as a collegiate athlete. We spanked them the first game. Oh, I was fired up. This is terrible to admit, but I would drink close to a 6-pack of Mountain Dew a day my freshman year in college. I'm telling you, it's terrible.
Mountain Dew. I'm with you.
It's hard to admit that.
I used to love Mountain Dew.
Love Mountain Dew. I cannot, if I drink Mountain Dew, I'm like, my body would like start to twitch because the caffeine and the sugar, I had no clue what I was doing. Like, we finished 3rd in the nation at 14 unders. Our team, that 14 under team, Veronica Nelson, who played at Cal, Kirsten Vogt, ASU. We had a player go to Notre Dame. We had LMU. We had pretty much the whole entire team went D1, except for like 1 or 2 players.
That's great. Yeah. So wait, like that's, you guys didn't be on the main team. This was like the new team emerging.
Is that what it is? It was a new term emerging. You got it.
All right, man. Legacy Lounge. Sometimes people want to talk.
We have incredible guests here.
What's up, brother?
The definition of the Legacy Lounge is the stuff that he's putting together. He's a great community leader. His story is amazing.
Welcome back. This is episode 59, and Chris, this little run that we're having of powerful, influential women, I'm enjoying this run. We have a special guest, very special to me, so I've been excited about this one. The Sac State softball head coach right now, Lori Perez. Welcome to the lounge.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Here's the thing, Chris. She's a softball coach. I didn't know. We go way back. I'm not going to say how long we start to age ourselves.
Yeah, we do.
But you'll kind of hear that throughout this interview. But you know, when I saw you this summer, I always knew I wanted to get you on here. I didn't know back in the day that my life would be so consumed with softball as well. So I'm really, really into what's been your world for a long time. But to meet you so long ago at Sacramento State, then you end up as the softball head coach. Can we just start right there? What is the feeling of being the one driving the ship at your alma mater? How has that been?
It's really cool. I mean, I always tell young coaches that ask, like, how do you become a Division I head coach? I'm like, my story is not really going to be one that it'd be great to try to model, but I always tell them I'm kind of a unicorn where I've had the ability to play and then got to be an assistant coach and then become a head coach and stay at the same place is really unique. Usually you have to move and kind of chase a little bit or you know, kind of earn your time before you get the opportunity. And so I was really fortunate that I had the ability to become the head coach after spending time as an assistant coach at SAC and and playing there also too. You know, I have this, I think, piece of me that's, everybody's got that why.
Yes.
Why do we do what we do? And, my why is obviously my family, my kids, that kind of stuff. But in terms of the softball aspect of things, when I played at SAC, we weren't very successful. It was tough. And so my why, when I graduated, I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and then ended up getting into coaching, and the opportunity to be an assistant opened up at Sac State. And so I was given the opportunity to do that, and it ended up being in a situation where I was like, I am really motivated to change, where the program's at and get it built up to where I always thought it could be.
Yeah.
Northern California, Sacramento is a huge area for softball, as you know. We get great turnout for games. People want to be a part of it. And so as an assistant, just really being able to work along with our head coach, who was my head coach, and she really allowed me to have a lot of experiences, hands on the program, because she was getting to her point in her career where she'd been doing it for quite a while, going to get ready to retire. And so she was very good about teaching me and letting me, like I said, have these experiences. So when I, as an assistant, we won the first ever Division I conference championship, and we had breaking records for offense. Our pitching staff has always been successful, but doing really well. And so then when she retired, being able to have the head coaching job, I had it the first year as interim. That was stressful, for sure. But I had a really great group of girls, and so and then just continuing to just build. And so every day I wake up, it's always been that why. Like obviously we've won a few championships now, we've had success, but I still have that like burning desire of like we can still do more. There's still more to squeeze out. Like we want to get into regionals, we want to win in regionals, super regionals. I was at the World Series this year in a capacity with the NCAA, but as a coach, I'm like, I want to be on this field coaching this team here. So so it's grateful. I have this sign in my office that says "Start each day with a grateful heart," that's just the forefront of for me. As soon as I walk in, I'm like, I realize how special this is. So I do not take it for granted.
That's incredible.
So what year did you? What year was it when you became assistant?
So my first year as assistant was the fall of 2004. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I've
you've
got
been
that.
with the program for 21 years.
Yeah, I'm in my 22nd year right now, going into it. Yeah,
that is incredible.
That is so good.
What year did you take over as head coach?
The fall of 2013. Yeah, and I remember that.
This is incredible for me to like. I love this.
Well, and I remember it too because when I got the head coaching job, I was about 7.5 months pregnant with my son. So he was born September 10th, and I had been head coach for a very short time. I had hired 2 brand new assistants. They didn't even know where the library, they didn't know where anything was. So I had him 6 days later. I was back on campus giving a dual recruiting visit, and I walked that whole thing for 2 miles. Yeah, and I was 6 days after having a child was not a good idea. But I had to do what I had to do. So so this is now going into my 13th year.
Wow.
My son is 12.
That's incredible. Now, on all the teams we've ever been on, I know I've always been like, oh man, that person could be a good coach. Oh, he should never coach. Who are you on that team? Did people know you're going to be a coach? Who were you on that team?
You would have to ask my teammates. I mean, I was a 2-time captain, so I was a captain my junior, senior year. Yeah, so they obviously had some belief in me in that regard. I think even as a freshman, I was vocal.
Yeah.
I'll never forget my first time ever playing San Jose State. Our head coach used to coach at San Jose State. And so I feel like every time we played them, you always wanted to beat them for her.
Of course.
But we traveled down there, and as a player, you used to warm up defense. You would do a whole pregame defense on the infield. Now you usually do lines off to the side. So we're doing our pregame defense, and I'm at third base, and the home team usually is on the third base side, and I can hear San Jose State just talking trash about our team and our warm-up. And I'm just this fiery, competitive freshman, right? I mean, not a lot has changed, but I can hear them, and I'm just like, feeling this visceral reaction. And so we get over to the side, and it's their time to take defense, and we're washing them, and we're doing our thing, and we pull together, and I'm like, and I'm going to try to be careful with my language, but I was like, these girls are talking trash, and we better get after it and kick their butt. I mean, I'm saying it in a very PG way right now.
Of course.
But I was fired up, and I was like, we better do this, And they were like, oh, okay, all right, freshman, like, holy cow. Our first batter hit a leadoff first pitch home run over the fence. We get down to my spot in the batting order. That was my first ever home run as a collegiate athlete. We spanked them the first game. Oh, I was fired up. So I think for me, I've always been comfortable being vocal. Whether my teammates saw me as a coach one day, I don't. You'd have to ask them. I don't know. They probably. I was kind of a wild college student as well, so they're probably like, she just needs to follow the line a little bit better before, we're a little worried about her. But outside of that, no, maybe.
Oh, my goodness.
Believed in me enough, to be a captain, so that was good.
Yeah, if you're a captain, then that says all I need to hear there. You're a captain then. That means you know how to lead, and you are a leader. So, but that's a great story about freshman year and everything. Now, Chris, he has tipped his toe into the softball thing, and I think his first real experience was
at Sac State.
At Sac State, coming to see Lexi play for the for the section championship.
Oh, nice.
Like,
Okay, you were there. Great.
Yeah, he was
I'll give
there.
my honest feedback too.
Okay.
So honest feedback was going in, like, I really feel like it, like, outside of seeing like my sister play softball when I was like maybe 8 or 9 years old, like my expectations were like, I'm going to watch Lexi play because it's like, that's my my adopted daughter and this is my guy, right? That game was like electric.
It was incredible.
It was literally
away.
electric.
He talks
And
about it
I'm
all the time
like,
still.
I was about to like take my shirt off and like start swinging it, and like the level of competition, I just wasn't expecting that. And
Oh, yeah.
The
even
speed is unreal,
the
isn't it?
speed's unreal. Just the athleticism. Shorter field, correct?
It is smaller than baseball.
Yep.
Yes.
It just like it surprised me. It took me back. And when we have like women's college softball World Series, like
Yep.
it was on my TV like constantly. Like
I love that.
How cool is hearing that?
That's
you know?
so cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
One of my friends too, very good friends. I don't know if you know Dr. Mondo. If that name rings a bell.
off the top of my head.
He's a local guy from Sacramento, but he's a sports therapist.
Okay.
And he's right now his contracts with the women's softball team at UCLA.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And also the men's football team. But he's done stuff with like a bunch of different athletes, Lindsey Vonn, like a bunch of people. So he's like super locked into
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
the whole softball world, and it's just it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it really is. It's cool, and I'm sure it's good for you to hear that, somebody from outside seeing it, falling in love with it, and it's a special sport. It really, really is, and it's good that the light now is really like it's grown
Right.
so much. And you've been there throughout the whole growth. What is your take on how it's taken off?
It's incredible. I mean, I can't be, you see moments in time and wanting to be a part of those moments. And we're, it's been going for a little bit now, but the moment in time for softball, the World Series this year was so incredible. Like I
was.
mentioned before,
It
I got the
was.
opportunity to work it with the NCAA. So I was on the field and doing all that, the presses and helping the teams, and it was an incredible role that we had. But just being able to see even where it's grown in the youth level, I mean, my generation, really took advantage and had a lot of opportunities from the Title IX legislation when that hit in the 70s and the 80s kind of built. But the 90s, you really saw a lot of the scholarships being poured into softball and some of the women's sports. And so I'm a product of that legislation in terms of my opportunity to play college ball and have it paid for and have those opportunities. But just seeing how the players have developed as athletes, it's incredible. The things that our players can do versus when I played, I thought I was a pretty good player and was fairly athletic, but they're out of control.
Crazy.
In the high school game, that was one of my goals that when I became head coach was I really wanted to bring the championship high school games to Sac State. Like,
Yeah.
why would we not be hosting it? We have the best
So
facility in
good.
the area. It's continuing to improve every year. If I'm a high school player, I want to feel that special experience of playing in a real stadium, a collegiate stadium, and the grass is smooth and level. Everybody always asks me, is that turf or what is that? I'm like, no, it's real sod. It looks like a putting green, right? And the infield's flat. The pitching mound is flat. All those things. And so really wanting to bring that. So that year, that you were able to be a part of it and watch it, it's so cool because you see the high school, the friends, the family members, everybody coming out to support and watch, and it's such an electric experience, and you see that across the board with our sport. It's a lot faster game than baseball, so it moves pretty quickly.
Fast. It's so fast.
It still has its moments where it can kind of work a little bit when the game, the pieces within it, so you can get locked in as like a general fan might not understand. But no, it's cool. So I constantly, like I said, look around and just get excited about where we're at and the growth of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep riding my wave as a coach as long as I can, and then see where I can give back in other ways once I'm done coaching.
I love it. I love it. There's going to be a lot of this throughout, and we're going to go back in time, but I really want to hear a lot of the when you were a player versus what they are now and everything like that. Like, I just can't help but continue to ask about that.
Yeah.
You talked about the athleticism and what people can do, but like, how was the training that you guys went through versus I'm following you guys like crazy, and your girls and what they lift and everything.
Right.
I was just watching it the other night, and I'm so impressed. How does that differ from when you were playing and what it looks like now?
No doubt. I mean, when I played our training, I have traumatic, memories of that time. Just
I think we had the
because-
same trainers
Yeah,
too. So
yeah, we
I'm
did.
I'm interested.
We did, yeah, we definitely. And actually, they're renovating that
Are
weight room space now.
Oh, so was the trauma because the facility was shit?
Well, not necessarily that. It was where we lifted was a little cold,
It
a little
was.
darkish.
was.
And just in terms of things, you had sort of a lot of metal, so you'd hear the slamming of the
like that.
weight bar. And so you had that. But I think the style of training was different. We did more long distance running, which you don't. Yes, long distance running is good for building up an endurance base, but it doesn't really cross over to the sport
doesn't.
of softball.
Agreed.
It's explosive. It's interval training. If our girls are going to want to run on the treadmill, I'm like, okay, do a 30-second sprint and then maybe do a 1 minute walk or a 1 minute jog and then 30-second sprint. And maybe you do that sprint at an interval, right? And then a jog. So you're working interval type of things on a bike, work the sprints, then ride, work the sprints, right? So we work that kind of training a lot. In terms of what we're doing, or we'll do what's called tempo runs. So you're doing a back and forth type of run, but you're not doing it at 100% clip. You're doing it at like a 70%. So you're building that endurance tank.
Yeah.
Because you don't always want to go 100% sprints every time too. Your nervous system it's going to gear that up too high. You're not working on building that base. Because even for some people, I can pitch, recover, pitch, recover, pitch, recover. Now, can I do it 120 times in a row, right? You can train the interval, but you still have to have that endurance base underneath. So even if it's walking on the treadmill at an incline of 8 for 25 minutes, you're still going to get that capacity. You're going to build that up, that endurance base. It's also good between the ears as well.
No doubt.
The strength part, for sure. I mean, they still get after it. The squat still exists. The bench press still exists. The power cleans. But they do them in different ways. I think it's important to support the wrist, especially for our pitchers. They're
Yes.
snapping the ball in different and unique ways. So you really want to be cognizant of that. They may not do some lifts that can be, detrimental to the wrist. They may use dumbbells instead of the bar. There's a lot of single side work as well, where you may do an RDL with a dumbbell, single leg. You may do them with both. You switch it up just to ignite different parts of the body. There's, as my players will tell you, core is my favorite
Core is
activity.
it.
I can
Yes.
do core all day long.
Yes,
They
yes.
know that. The other day they didn't have time for core in their weight room hour. So I was like, and I was in the weight room with them and I was like, okay, we can do it out at practice for those of you that didn't get it in. And they're like, okay. And I'll do it with them. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not like, you're going to do that. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm down there. Like, here we go, and so to me, everything as an athlete starts from the inside out. Right. And so you could look at that as in the nutrition aspect, right? So what I put in my body, what I'm fueling myself, really helps to support what I'm doing on the exterior, or it can be detrimental, right? If I go and lift and I get a great workout out, but now I'm running, and no knock on McDonald's, I love a
Yeah.
McDonald's breakfast, but like if I go get an English McMuffin and a hash brown and orange juice and all that, I'm getting some protein, but I'm not quite. I'm getting a lot of high fat content, but not good fat. Like I love fat. I think fat is awesome to eat, but what kind of fat are you getting, right? That's high
Yes.
saturated. You want to get some of those, an avocado, right? Go home, make a fried egg, put it on
Yeah.
a piece of sourdough toast, throw an avocado on there, do
go.
some grass-fed butter, like enjoy that. Like that's how you want to eat, right? And you can, have the hash brown every so often, right? It's a little salt base, which is gonna,
Yes.
bloat you up. But anyways, everything starts from the inside out with nutrition. But when it comes to the working out part of it, like if you don't have a solid core and a solid base within your back, and you build all of these larger muscles, the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, and the biceps, you're building those large muscles, but you're not really working on the smaller extremities, like the transverse muscles in your core and just a lot of the different ligaments and the support around the knee joints and stuff. I'm really big about making sure our girls, they love lifting. Like I feel like every strength coach that we get with, they're like, yeah, we're gonna program, these girls are gonna be squatting 350. And I'm like, yeah, but are we gonna transfer that over to running the bases faster or breaking back on a ball in the outfield or, the explosiveness that we need, that my pitcher needs? We can't be so thick that we're blocky and can't move, right? So in terms of softball, I think you're finding that they're training them to still get strong and explosive because that's a part of the sport, but also being able to really transfer that over to what we're trying to do within our movement patterns.
Yeah.
And that, I think, in our sport, movement patterns, I think you're going to hear that a ton when you talk to strength conditioning coaches that work with athletes specifically.
This is, man.
Can you squat 350?
You're by the way, you are extremely well spoken.
Oh, thank
Like
you.
you I can tell that part of what makes you great at what you do is you can hold a room very well.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
I
Which,
appreciate that.
which
That's
like
nice.
it's
No
kind of
question.
like the DNA. I would say, I would hope the DNA for successful coaches at that level. Like we had Coach Marion in here.
Yeah, I did listen to that one.
Yeah,
That was
that's
cool. I
nice.
was like, I don't know his story, so
Yeah.
I listened to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was ready to pad up after
love
interviewing
that.
him.
But it's so coincidental that you're saying what you're saying because I'm agreeing with it like wholeheartedly.
Okay.
In my head, I'm an athlete, but like I wasn't the best. Like, I didn't play sports in college. I played basketball.
Nice.
But like my longevity of like working out, I did CrossFit with this guy. This guy was a specimen in the CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
I wasn't sure what he was
shredded.
about to say there. I
You're
was
still like you're still shredded, but you're a different shredded now.
Yeah, I'm not.
But it's just, but it's so funny because him and I played golf. He still belongs at El Macero Country Club,
Okay.
and I'm telling you, it was like clockwork. Every time we would golf usually on Fridays, and this is after doing CrossFit. 3 days, leading up to that Friday. We were always in our lower backs, and like we were always dealing with a little
Oh, yeah.
something
For
from
sure.
from
All
from
the time,
CrossFit,
right?
and like
Yeah.
it got to a point where we used to talk, and it was like we got to give up one of these two. We're either giving up CrossFit so we can play golf, right?
Yeah.
And lo and behold, this guy doesn't do CrossFit anymore. I don't do CrossFit anymore. And there's nothing. It's not necessarily a knock on CrossFit. I want to make that clear.
Right.
But it's every Thursday morning, early at 6 a.m. My fiance and I we do hot yoga at the Space.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Have you heard of the Space?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Okay, it's freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm a total yoga
Yeah.
Okay.
fan. Yeah.
And this morning, I don't know who it was, but like Trey Lyles, who no longer plays for the Kings, he was in there a lot in the mornings doing hot yoga. And
Nice.
you get just like some badasses that are in there. And there's usually like, because the Space is the #1 yoga studio, there's like usually 70 to 80 people per class getting after it. And we're driving home this morning. My fiance does CrossFit 3 days a week. And she's just like, dude, my lower back was so jacked this morning and like this and that. And I'm like, I have been pain-free because I've pretty much like my world now is long distance cycling and yoga.
Nice.
Those are like my two. And I'll do strength training,
Yeah.
but my strength training is just like it's just very specific, lifting lighter weights, not really doing a lot of squats. But when you reference the core and the core being, I like I relate to that, and it's usually
Totally.
when I hear of people that are dealing with back issues, because that's usually like the most prominent issue that you hear people dealing with.
For sure.
To me, it's so easy to diagnose. It's diet
Mm-hmm.
and it's core.
Yep. 100%.
I mean, and the diet piece of it too could be like, I'm not like, for me speaking, it's not like I had to lose 40 to 50 pounds. But literally when I lost 10 pounds, which is not a huge amount of weight, but just like taking that 10 pounds off and focusing more on core training, I noticed like night and day difference. So
For
that's
sure.
very awesome. So are you able to like tap into, you'd mentioned nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Like how involved can you get with the girls on your team with nutrition? Do you just kind of like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
You
no,
are
no
involved.
doubt. Oh, yeah, of course.
ton.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they know. I mean, they, if we're on the road and something comes out, like a lettuce wrap burger or something that's a salad based something, like generally they're like, "Is this Coach Perez's?" Like, and they're, and I'm sure they're
Yeah.
kind of like, "Oh gosh, she's probably judging what I'm eating," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, it's probably not the best right now." And I always love like the end of a tournament. I'm like, let's treat ourselves. We just
Totally.
played 5 games,
Yeah.
so yeah, let's go have that burger and fries and like really get a little gluttonous because
Yeah.
there's a part of that too. It's a good balance, but no, it's huge. I mean, our players met with a nutritionist last week. They did a whole series about, okay, you have 2 games on Saturday, right? So What are you eating? What time are you eating? What are you eating? Okay,
This
3
is
hours
awesome.
before.
I love
then
this.
2 hours before you want to have this. Then, maybe 10 minutes before you're having this kind of snack, and then this is what we're having in between games, and obviously the hydration, and then and then post game. We actually didn't get into post game too much at that moment, but a lot of it leading up to it, because when you're playing 2 games in a day, it's so much about energy management. Because a lot of times our girls will get up and maybe they don't eat breakfast, they didn't make time for it, they're running late, or they'll run to Starbucks or Dutch Brothers, and so they're having that for their breakfast, and I'm like, oh Lord.
Yes.
And then they start to have that crash, and then like right before the game, they're trying to put in a lot of snacks, and we keep snacks everywhere, like the locker room, out at the field. I literally was at Costco yesterday buying food for the field and the locker room, because we were out. They had, as college students, you are running around. You don't always have time or the money to buy stuff. So we try to really make things as easy and affordable and quick as possible. So keeping that in line with them. So we have that nutrition talk. And then they just hired a new person on campus too. So they're going to be able to do that one-on-one work with the players, the ones that especially that want it.
I love hearing that.
Our upperclassmen, I have a few that are really great about what they eat. I think they've just, you evolve and learn as a person, and you want to, especially you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel of your career, and you're like, okay, I want to leave, no stone unturned. And so, we'll take them grocery shopping, and you can see the ones that get it, right, that are buying the things that, like, here's the meal they're creating. It's the turkey meat. They've got the sauce. They've got their pasta. They're going to carb load with some protein, but it's something that's going to hold them over for a few days because they can have it for a few meals. They've got the packaged salads, because not a lot of them have time to make a fresh salad. Obviously, a fresh salad's ideal, but, you're still getting the greens. So we're really trying to talk to them about those things. We had a talk, I think it was our first team meeting. I handed out a nutrition sheet of just quick information. What are carbs? What are proteins? What are fats? Da-da-da-da-da. And just explaining to them, how some of it is, honestly, is trying to teach them where the trends or the things they see online, kind of some of that misinformation to some extent. Some of it's phenomenal information. I'm like, yes, that's great. This so much, not so much. And we talked about like keto diet, right? That was really popular and still is. Very protein-based diet, which is great. But at the same time, when you're an athlete who's burning... You need carbs. Oh, my gosh. And that's the thing I told them. I'm like, carbs are an energy source, right? Just like fat is an energy source, right? And this is what protein does. And, like, if you're struggling because you're getting hungry in the middle of the day, well, you may not be getting enough protein, because protein and fat are going to satiate your hunger, and you're going to be able to stay fuller longer, and they're, for them, it's kind of like, wow, okay, that makes sense, but now you actually have to train yourself to eat that way. Like if I ate only protein this morning with some greens, day one, I might be like, okay, but it takes your body to adjust to, habits and things like that. So really teaching them how the nutrition can work and benefit for them, and taking away, like I said, some of the misinformation of, okay, we're not going to have carbs. It's like, no, we have to have carbs. It's a part of our diet, our framework, and so we talk a lot about that. I get back to the basics. I'm kind of dorky and nerdy with them. Like yesterday, this is a great example. I was just telling somebody this story this morning. My dad and we had a garden in the backyard, so he would plant stuff. I would help him with it. Definitely love being in the garden. And so I had bought the Farmer's Almanac for this year, and I tend to, I don't always buy it every year, but definitely pay attention to it, talking to our players about the Farmer's Almanac. And so we're talking about it yesterday, and I bring it up. And sometimes I'll bring up things knowing like, ooh, some of them may have not have heard of this before. So I'm like, who? And it was 21 of our 24 athletes were with me. Who has heard of the Farmer's Almanac? Not one person raised their hand. Do you guys know what the Farmer's?
I didn't know what it was either.
You don't know what it is?
I didn't.
I'm
into food.
Gosh.
Like I'm surprised.
Well, and it's not necessarily about food, but it's like the farmers would use this almanac as terms of weather predictions, so that way they could pay a little bit more attention to timing of when you wanted to plant. And so they would tell you weather patterns. So we got on the conversation because we had rain, right? And we had to put the tarp on. And I told them the Farmer's Almanac is predicting a wetter, earlier fall and winter with a drier, milder, later winter. And they looked at me like I might as well have been talking another language. And I'm like, do you guys know what the Farmer's Almanac is? And they didn't know. You guys don't know either?
I'm surprised
my gosh,
I'm into
y'all.
stuff like that. I'm surprised I don't know.
So I brought the book to work today, I'm going to have it at practice day, 'cause they're like, well, bring it. What else does it have in it? I'm like, it has a lot of really cool stuff in it. So, all right, well. Maybe they're not the only ones. They'll appreciate knowing that you guys don't know either.
Yeah. I love it. And I'm really curious because I'm seeing it even more prevalent in high school. I haven't had to fight my kids to eat the right way and to power up. So I'm
Yes.
curious when it changed, because the reality is my Sac State basketball team was sponsored by Jack in the Box. Like
Right.
literally, that's all we lived off of.
Right,
You know,
right.
and I don't even know how we survived. It didn't
Yeah.
even make any sense. When did it change? I mean, you obviously took over in 13, you said?
2013.
So was that happening? Were you having those talks then? Was it later? Like, I'm curious
I
when you
think
started
so.
implementing stuff like that.
I think so. I mean, you know, your first few years as a coach, there's
Uh-huh.
so many balls you throw
Of
in the air,
course.
and you're like, okay, which ones am I going to run with? So there's only so much, and you know, and then we had some players that just really had poor eating habits. Like we had 2 players one time. We're at the airport, and it's 7 a.m. and they had Dippin' Dots, and I walk by, I'm like, you know who you
That
are.
sounds so
If she's
good.
listening to
I
this, you know
can't
who
do
you
it.
are. And I'm like, do you have Dippin' Dots right now? It's 7 a.m. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, that's not a breakfast
I mean,
food.
with all fairness, they shouldn't have been open at 7 a.m.
No, it's the vending
The
machine.
vending
machine,
Dippin'
yeah.
Dots.
Got it.
Yeah. So they were like, oh, I love Dippin' Dots, you know, and a lot of our players are addicted to sugar, right?
yeah.
That's like a
Oh, yeah.
big piece, I think. I think this generation, they are better. My daughter's
better,
the same way.
for
Yeah.
sure.
And she's 14 and she's conscious about wanting to eat well
Yeah.
and how to eat well and asking the questions. I think the information online is piquing that
Mm-hmm.
curiosity. I think that they are exposed to things that we weren't.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, I know for me, you know, I was just telling our players a story the other day. Like sodas were, I don't want to say healthy, but they were what you had
All the time.
all the time. Like I played soccer growing up, so halftime were orange slices.
Yeah.
Post game was sodas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was telling our players, I'm like, after a long, hard day of games, I crave a soda.
Yeah.
Like my habits that have been
yeah,
formed from my
exactly.
childhood is to have
Yeah.
a soda after the end of the day. Not that I have that,
Yeah.
but the trigger is there.
Yeah.
The cue, the craving is there. So we'll have that. But I think it's just information over time.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably parents also are educating their kids a little bit more. You know, we're having less TV dinners potentially, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, from our earlier conversation, you know, that kind of understanding that what processed foods are doing to our
Yeah.
bodies. Obviously, we have higher rates of cancer,
Yep.
I believe, in terms of the research. And a lot of that's coming from the things that are put in our food, the chemicals, the processing of food. And so I think you're seeing people that are suffering because of it. You have, like I said, higher rates of cancer, the obesity, even though they just came out with research today that the obesity has dropped in the country, which
Oh, really?
is so
I
exciting.
didn't hear that.
Yes, I read that this morning. And so that's really great. And I think it's because people being educated
Yep.
about what they're eating and
Yep.
getting more movement, understanding being in front of a computer and being sedentary inside is obviously not what we are bred to do as people. We're meant to be moving creatures. And so I think all of that is just building on
Yeah.
itself,
Yeah.
you know, so I don't know, but I know that
That's-
they're definitely, they want to learn and they want to know, they
So
want to get it
awesome.
right, which
It's
is cool.
refreshing to hear.
I think like the way that my mind works on that topic is we live in a time where it's so much easier to be healthy. It's the
Right.
easiest it's ever been to be this healthy.
It's
And I thi-
expensive
and it-
though. That's what people's hurdle is a lot of the time. Is it costs more money to eat healthy than it does to eat.
And that's and
shitty.
you know that's incorrect though. Well,
Right.
it's slightly more I guess my point is this: are you comparing it to if you were literally eating fast food? Is that what you're comparing it to?
Like, if you have the chance to buy food and prepare it at home, that's one. But on the run, it's really hard
Got
to
it.
eat
That's a
healthy.
good, yeah.
Okay,
That's what I'm
so
saying.
that's a good
For
point.
sure.
But like, kind of what I'm saying is the algorithm in regards to what are you watching on social
Yep.
media? So
Yep.
the people that I'm following on social media are like endurance athletes because I'm in the cycling world. So like
Right.
runners, cyclists, you
And
know,
it's motivating. I
and
love
it's
it.
just a constant motivation. Like Mark Bell, people that are it's easy to just kind of take little notes
Yeah.
out of their playbook, so to speak. But to me, it's like the biggest thing, and you mentioned it, is it's what's being modeled at home.
Right.
You know, like you had mentioned your kids not really, they're fairly healthy kids. It's like, well, yeah, because their mom and dad at home
Yeah.
are modeling that.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure for the people out there that maybe are not, you know, they haven't necessarily had the benefit of having parents model that for them at home.
Right.
But anyways, I'm sure it all ties together.
Sports is pretty cool because of the access to people, and you're starting to see so much insight into the high level people. And again, that's a carrot. These young athletes, no matter what sport it is, when they see the insight of the superstars and what it takes and what they're eating and everything,
Totally.
that's what I feel is making a big difference.
Huge.
You even hear it, like, example, Ryder Lyons. He's so internet famous. He's the football quarterback from Folsom, and he has this all access, and and it's all into what he consumes and how early he gets up and everything. So I believe that helps, even if you don't have it in-house, because everybody wants to be that player no matter what sport it is. So I'm pretty sure that funnels into it a little bit.
And it's like injury related too. Like, I don't know, the first person that we're having this talk, Zion Williamson, like,
oh yeah, he dropped a ton.
Dude, I don't know how much he lost, but I mean, he was one of the most injury prone players in the NBA for his first 6 years of his career. And I'm sure you can kind of dial that down to being out of shape and overweight.
I'll put it this way. My whole mindset has changed. When I was back in college and not eating well and everything like that, things would happen to me, pulled muscles and things like that. And I would be like, damn, why does this happen to me? The reality is, knowing what I know now,
Right.
I was guaranteed I was dehydrated.
Right. 100%.
I might have been fond of a little bit of alcohol back then, being in college. But the amount of food that I ate, the amount that went into stretching and everything like that, it just wasn't a reality to me back then. So
Right.
the education that you're talking about and what you're bringing up to them, I'm sure, you know, at the older ones in class are probably paying more attention to the freshmen because you're still like, yeah, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But you start to peel back the curtain on reality of being a real athlete. And so that's where I see the maturation, and you're on the front lines of that.
Yeah. Well, too, I think the biggest piece that myself and our coaching staff and our coaches within the department, we have the ability to help them build life habits.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
it's not about making them feel bad for what they're eating or whatever. It's like, I love pizza like anybody else. Like, I could kill pizza. You know, it's like one of my favorite foods. But it's also understanding, like, just knowing how I want to feel and how I want my body to be able to respond, be able to get through long days, all that kind of stuff. It's like, you know, you have to really focus on the habits of what you do every
Yes.
single day. That's a big piece of what our team talks about right now. We're all reading Atomic Habits
Good
as a
job.
group. So that's really
Good
cool.
job.
Yeah. And so it's learning that piece. But it is, you know, back when I was in college, I had the worst habits. I mean, the
Yes.
worst. And it just there wasn't as much put into it. You know, I just think as a society, in terms of the athletic world, we've just grown so much in terms of education and understanding how the bodies work, you know, the amount of biomechanical work that's happened, the information and education, and then the nutrition piece of it. I just think there's more information. So what, you know, they say information is power, right? And so how you apply that. So we have that ability to influence. I mean, I look back, I just got our SID, our sports information director, gave one of our assistant coaches who's an alum my freshman year media guide. And she opens up and she's like, oh my God, look at you. And I look at myself. I'm like, okay, baby face, first of all. But I'm like, my face is so swollen. And I'm like, I'm so bloated from the stuff that I'm eating, right? I mean, this is terrible to admit, but I would drink close to a 6-pack of Mountain Dew a day my freshman year in college. I'm telling you,
I
it's
love
terrible.
Mountain Dew. I'm with
and
you.
It's hard to admit that.
I used to love Mountain Dew.
Love Mountain Dew. I cannot, if I drink Mountain Dew, I'm like, my body would like start to twitch because
awful.
the caffeine and the sugar, I
yeah.
had no clue what I was doing. And my college roommate, one time she was like, I'm going to call Mountain Dew and see if they'll sponsor you. Like, actually tried calling them and being like, my roommate drinks Mountain Dew. Mountain Dews and cheese puffs. I was addicted to them my freshman year. It was so bad. And of course that's going to correlate over to not playing well on the field. Like, I'm over here lifting and doing all this work, and then I'm coming back to my dorm room and eating this. Now, granted, my players probably might do that a little bit. You know, they're human. There's different versions of those things now, which are probably the sugary caffeinated drinks that you can buy everywhere, and then the hot cheesy Cheetos or whatever. Like, there's different versions of those things. So, you know, it's not like that's not still happening now, but I don't know. You just try to just try to praise them, especially when they're doing the right things. And then it's making it accessible to them, right? Having these types of foods accessible to them. And we were talking about it, you were talking about earlier, the cost of eating healthy is higher than not, where I could go to the store and choose between buying a bag of apples or buying a bag of chips.
Yep.
They're gonna be the same price.
You're right about that. You're right about
I was
that.
going to say too, like, and I'll give kudos back to this guy. Like, I remember sitting in a room with him, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, oh, "I'm putting my what I ate in my Fitness Pal."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that has made me sick. The idea of doing that.
I
Like,
can't.
well,
I
here's
can't.
the
I don't
craziest
like doing
thing.
that either.
I am truly addicted to it now.
Oh,
and
nice.
what I
There you
do
go.
now is I wake up, and like the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I basically pre-plan what I'm going to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Yeah, there
I
you
get it
go.
all in there. There's going to be cheat days. He's more psychotic about it than I am in the sense
Psychotic,
of,
I like that.
well, what I'm saying is like, even when this dude, like,
Habit based, not
Habit-based.
psychotic. He's
It's-
habit based.
it's
Yeah,
exactly.
good habits.
yeah, psychotic. So, no, like, if there's going to be a Saturday where my fiance and I are going out to like Napa
Yeah.
with our friends, I'm basically not using my Fitness Pal to log my 8 glasses of wine and burgers and whatever.
I still
My
do.
cheat day.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
dude like plays in
I
a
still
golf
do.
tournament and logged his 20 tequila and sodas. I'm like, what's the point of doing that? But anyways,
Right.
Reality.
What I'm getting at is the tracking aspect of it has been helpful.
Yeah.
And I think when you cook your own food, those two things are the biggest game changer in my mind. And when you shop at Costco, like I shop at Costco,
Yeah.
it actually, I save money from going to eating out,
Agreed.
but it's a
Agreed.
different,
100%.
but it's a different eating
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
It's not
Right.
spending $6 a Jack in the Box. It's spending those $20 visits to these Jack's Urban Eats or whatever it is.
Yeah,
but-
Chipotle.
Yeah.
Totally,
Stuff
I
like
don't know.
that.
That's-
yeah.
yeah.
No, it
Yeah.
adds up. I loathe eating out because it is expensive, right? I
Yeah.
have 2 young kids. I have a 14-year-old, 12-year-old, and it's like you're counting every
Mm-hmm.
dollar. You got dues for the travel baseball, the travel softball, all that stuff, hotels, all of those things. And so one part it's because of just trying to really make sure, that we're smart about our money. But the other thing is just knowing what I cook at home, what I'm getting, and the control I can have over what I'm eating as opposed to eating out. It's a rare thing, but good for you guys for logging it. I have never been able to really fully get into that. And I always think about what I'm eating.
Yeah.
I'm always kind of got like a plan of it, right? But at the same time, I don't know. I've never been very good at that. It's a habit I've never been able to kind of pick up and run with. But I get it. And I
Yeah.
also would be the same way too. I'm like, ooh, I did all these good things. So I logged all the good things. Today was not so good. So we're just gonna move that one over there.
I
Yeah.
love
Talk to us a little bit because I'm just curious of this. So 24 players on the team.
Yes.
Are they all living in dorms?
No, we have 5 living on campus in the resident halls. Resident halls, not dorms
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
But same thing. And then we have a few that live right across the street to some housing that's right there. And then the majority of them are living on apartments right around campus. We
Maybe
have-
sharing like roommates, maybe?
Oh yeah, for sure. A lot of them live together, or they'll live with other athletes as well. So we have a combination of that. We have one location where we have a top and a bottom. They found it, and it's like so you got 4 on top and 3 or 4 on the bottom. Oh my
What does that
gosh.
mean? I'm lost.
So it's like a duplex. It's
Yeah.
got a top and a bottom.
Yeah.
So one top is a whole flat, and then the bottom is a whole nother flat. So they have 2 different homes, but just one's on
That's-
top of each
So
other.
That's
like
awesome.
6 players living in that.
There, I
7, huh?
think, are 8 of them.
Oh my goodness.
But
7
I
or
would
8.
I would think.
But they're in separate houses, 4
Yeah.
and 4. So
Yeah.
they don't really necessarily aren't in. It's not 8 people living in the same common space.
I'd love to get your take on that because
Yeah.
when I went to when Coach Marion had like the private press conference, they were talking about I'm sorry, Wood. What's his
Yeah, Luke Wood.
President Wood, Luke
President Wood, and
Yes.
then the other gentleman. What's his name? Who's
Is it the AD? Or is that
yeah, the
Our
ath-
athletic director, Mark Orr.
Mark Horace?
bingo.
I love
And they were
Mark.
talking
I
about the
love
vision
Mark.
for Sac State and what they were foreseeing, kind of what they hope it turns into when you're having, especially a lot of players that are coming in that are not from Sacramento,
Right.
is getting more people to stay on campus. I know if I was playing sports, what I would prefer, but this is just my own thing. I would prefer let's get the duplex and I'm staying with 7 different players on the team because it's bonding
For
and
sure.
it kind of, I'm sure it's kind of a
They take care of each other.
Yep.
too.
yeah, and I
Yep.
think it's kind of a good thing when you spend so much time. You're at school, you're playing sports. It's kind of nice to kind of get away, and go outside of it. What's your take on all that? Do you think? Do you even have a take on where your players stay? Does it matter if they're staying on campus or off campus, and what that looks like for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's always fun to have the experience of living on campus the first year.
Yep.
You're out of the house for the first time. It's hard to live in an apartment because you got to pay rent, you got to pay the utility bills. There's all of those things. You've got to cook for yourself. That's a lot to take on immediately as an 18-year-old. So living on campus makes it just easier.
Yep.
You're got your own little space. You can go over to the dining commons and eat. You've got your dining commons carts. You can go to other places. All those things are paid for through the system, so you're not necessarily having to pay attention to those things. Now, generally, obviously, it's a smaller space, so most of them after the first year, they want to go and have a living room and have a little bit more space outside of it. We have our resident halls, that are kind of 2 to a room and long hallway, and then you have the American River Courtyard, which is more that apartment style. They didn't have that when we went to school there, but you're gonna have your common living room space and then rooms around that. So you do get that experience on campus too. So I think that's good to experience. But then I think in terms of learning how to be a functioning adult is living, in an apartment or a house, if you're able to do that, or a duplex, and learn how to pay monthly bills and do your grocery shopping and learn how to food prep and do all that and have to show up. Because when you're living on campus too, you can just wake up and walk to, class or walk whatever. If you're living off campus, you got to drive in or scooter in or ride your bike or take the transportation around, which they still have the free transportation around to the apartments, which I've taken that a time or two.
Yes.
Yes, I have. And so in terms of my take, I think, it's cool to really experience that the first year. Also, too, you almost develop a little bit of a cohort.
Yeah.
And because you have that your freshman year, and you'll meet other athletes, you'll meet other students as well. And I know the day that I graduated from Sac State with my bachelor's, as I'm in line, like cap and gown, I ran into like 4 to 5 people that I lived in Draper Hall with on campus.
You were in Draper.
Yeah, in Draper. I was in Draper.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, hey, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you since freshman year. I'm like,
That's so
we were
awesome.
graduating at the same time, and that was super cool. So you have that kind of cohort bond, but then, like I said, once you're living off, and then, for me as a coach, I always tell, it's with the parents. It's like, what are you comfortable with as a parent as well? Because as much as they're coming and they're playing for me, and we sort of take on a little bit of that parenting role as a coach, I also want to make sure that our players' parents are comfortable with what they're doing. If they want them to live on campus all 4 years, live on campus all 4 years, totally fine. If they are if they are open and they don't really care where they go, or they want them to go here and there, a lot of the parents, I think, will be involved in that. If they want them to have a car while they're living on campus, I let them decide that. I try not to micromanage them too much. Really, what's important to me is that they're in a safe environment. It's something that is ideally close enough to school where they're, not fighting traffic and things like that. Because we have some players that are from the region, right? So I've had players that have lived at home and have come and commuted to some extent to campus. I had a player that got married last summer who's on the team. So her and her husband now are, so yes, that was a new one for me. So you have those. So there's some of that life stuff happening. So you'll find there's a mixture within our team, but most of them live within that kind of mile and a half radius where they're, like I said, either driving or riding their scooters. I mean, some of them, like, you guys could walk to school every day. Like, you don't even have to buy a parking pass. No, they're
still.
Whoa, I would love to walk to school every day.
Yeah, that sounds cool for a while, but
yeah.
But also sounds cool for like a 42-year-old. Like,
100%.
I don't know why. Like, I think
good call.
Like, I wouldn't be. Yeah. Anyways.
Well, I live across the street, so my front door to my office door is about an 8-minute walk.
Are you serious?
Do
Yeah,
you live in River Park?
I do live in River Park. Yeah,
That's incredible.
So I'm in a phenomenal spot, and so I'll ride my bike to school. I'll do things like that. I've sometimes walked. The first time I ever walked to work, this is terrible. So our season was over, and we used to do like a department end of the year kind of get together, right? And so we started doing kickball. And so this year we're going to do kickball on the softball field. And this was prior to our field being renovated. So we had a drop-off behind shortstop. So we're playing kickball. I'm at shortstop. Our women's soccer coach gets up, Randy, and him and I, for some reason, all these events, him and I would always be competing against each other. He's competitive like I am. So, the trash talking. So he boots it, right? He's a soccer player. He boots the ball, and I jump up to get the ball. I try to get it. I land on the divot, and I just pop my ankle, roll it so bad, like to the point where I'm like, that's not good. That's bad. I hope it's not broken. So then I get off the field. I'm in the dugout, and Lois Matthijs, Lois. So Lois was SWA, but former athletic trainer as well, comes down. Are you okay? I'm like, I'm not okay, But I'm kind of prideful in the sense of I was like, I'll just get home and deal with it. I'm an idiot. So I walked to school that day. I walked to work that day.
You didn't walk back.
I tried walking back. I tried. And so I was like, I got about halfway home and I was like, I can't do this. So I got on the phone, called my fiance, and I was like, I have done this to myself. Can you please come get me? He was so sweet. He came and got me and actually put me on his back and carried me home.
That's incredible.
Like an idiot. I'm an idiot. Yeah. So I was like, thank you so much. I got home and I was destroyed for like 6 weeks. It was terrible. I never went to the doctor though. I don't think I ever went and got x-rays. I just figured it was a bad sprain.
Yeah.
So, but so that was the first time I only walked. So after that, I was a little gun shy about walking. I was like, I'll just continue to ride my bike. But so I'll try to do that. I'm not as good about it right now just because with the kids' schedules, it's like you get off of work and I've got to take my daughter to softball or my son here. So
where do your kids go to school?
So my daughter goes to Rio Americano. She's a freshman in high school now. And then my son goes to Caleb Greenwood, which is right in the River Park neighborhood. So when we first moved into our house, we've been there since fall of 19. My son was starting kindergarten and my daughter was in third grade. And so it's so cool because the elementary school's on the same road as the college. So we got on our bikes. We would ride to school. I would drop them off at elementary school. I would ride to Sac State. I would go to work. And I would get off of work. I would ride to the elementary school, pick them up, and we would ride our bikes.
What a life.
So awesome.
What an incredible, I know. I was so
awesome.
sad when it ended. I was like, well, okay, this doesn't happen anymore. But no, it was just so incredible. Now my son rides his bike to and from. He's all solo and
goodness,
sixth grader. He doesn't want mom riding with him anymore.
Yeah, of course not, right?
Yeah. The youngest one always develops faster than the older.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah.
And let's stay on the topic of now. We'll get back to the family portion of it, but now you recruit people. I'm curious. Can we get the Cliff Notes version of where you grew up and then up into you getting recruited to Sacramento State?
Okay,
Let's go back. I want to hear about Lori and how Lori got to play for Sacramento State.
Okay. Well, I was, like we talked about earlier, I was born in San Francisco essentially, and that's where my family's from. So we lived in South City, and then in '84 we moved up to Petaluma, small town, and at that time I think we had 12 or 15,000 people in the town, which is small for California, and grew up there. Had two older brothers who I, obviously tried to always play catch up with. I have broken and dislocated fingers from them multiple times, and just lived on the basebal field essentially, and then started playing ball, played soccer and softball growing up, and competed and played there. At Petaluma, we didn't really have the opportunities in terms of the high level travel ball.
Yeah.
So, as I was getting to that age of,
was travel ball big back then?
It was becoming big.
It was becoming big.
Was.
Okay.
It was big. So the town that I grew up in, we had Little League, essentially.
Yeah.
PGSA, Petaluma Girls Softball Association. When I was 9 turning 10, I was asked, this is terrible, I was asked to leave the organization and to find other places to play softball, because I was told that I was not giving other people an opportunity to be successful, which was, as a kid now, I think of as an adult, and I'm like, I was heartbroken. I'm like, I can't play with my friends anymore. And my mom, I remember coming home and telling me, and my parents, and so we went to the town next door, Novato.
Yeah.
I tried out for their league, and it was the same exact thing. They were like, we really like you, and you're a really talented player, but I think it's best that you try to find these travel ball networks. We didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And so we ended up somehow finding an organization out of Santa Rosa called the Rugrats.
Okay.
And our coaches his wife had played professional softball.
Nice.
And he coached. So we played the Rugrats for a year. And then I ended up through that experience, meeting Michelle and Tony Joyner, who ran the Strikers organization down in
nice,
San Jose,
nice.
which was a massive organization,
yeah.
late 80s, early 90s. A lot of very talented players. So Tony had hooked up and talked to my mom, and I was trying to develop as a pitching coach. So I started with Tony in terms of doing pitching lessons, and then they didn't have room on their Strikers team, but there was a team, the San Jose Sharks, that was starting a travel ball team. Mike Richdale was the head coach, and so I tried out for them, made that team.
Yeah.
Well, we ended up really just doing an amazing thing. Like, we finished third in the nation at 14 unders.
Whoa.
Our team, that 14 under team, Veronica Nelson, who played at Cal,
Oh, my
Kirsten Vogt,
goodness.
ASU. We had a player go to Notre Dame. We had LMU. We had pretty much the whole entire team went D1, except for like one or two players.
That's
Yeah.
great. So wait, like that's you guys didn't have be on the main team. This was like the new team emerging.
It
Is
was
that
a
what
new
it
term
is?
emerging. You got it. Yep, exactly.
What?
The San Jose Sharks. And so, yeah, it was just, sort of because Mike had his daughter who played, Corinne, and so he was starting a travel ball team for her,
Yeah.
which happens a lot of times. So,
Yeah.
so anyway, so from the age of 11 till I was 18, I traveled to San Jose to play. So it's
That's
a 2-hour drive each way. So I
crazy.
drive 2 hours,
That's
practice, drive back.
crazy.
And so I played for the Sharks and I played for the Strikers. So I got the incredible experience to play for Mr. Sorcy, Tom Sorcy, our coach. We called him Mr.
Yeah.
Sorcy. Played for him my last 2 years for the Strikers organization. Both of those organizations, they're kind of still around, but other ones have started to overshadow them. But got the opportunity to play for them, played in Oklahoma City there, played all the national tournaments. It was incredible. We really had a great, but it was also, like I said, 2 hours each way. So the drive from Petaluma to the city, over the bridge, 19th Avenue, hopping on the 280. When I was 17, 18, I could do that drive in my sleep.
Oh
I
my
could totally do that drive in my
goodness.
sleep. And
Oh
I had
my goodness.
one of the first original cell phones. My mom got a job where they gave her one of those brick cell phones, with the antenna would come up. And so she gave me the cell phone to drive with. So after 6 p.m., it was free. Cell phones used to be free 6 p.m.
that's so
and free on the
good.
weekends,
Yes,
right? And so
yes.
I would drive to practice, and then on the drive back, I would be calling my friends on the cell phone and like talking, and that's would call home obviously and check in, but did all that. So anyway, so I played for those organizations, and then recruiting back then happened your senior year, right? I remember playing at Nationals my junior year in Oklahoma City, and we were playing on one of the auxiliary fields and had a phenomenal tournament. And I remember there being Texas in the stands and Oklahoma and all these teams, but like they couldn't really do anything at that. I mean, people didn't. They waited till your senior year. So when I got to the summer of after my junior year, I had some life events happen that really kind of affected my softball focus. One of my best friends passed away in a car accident. And so when I went into that junior summer season after my junior year, it took a while for me just to find my footing. My value system, I think, changed, and my work ethic changed. So I started to, the point of that is I had a really tough summer recruiting. I didn't play well. I just, like I said, my focus was off. And so when I went into the fall season, a lot of those teams that had been looking at me, it kind of fell off a little bit, and that's okay. Everything happens for a reason. So as I started the fall, I'll never forget, I struck out 6 times in a row one time at a tournament. And I'm like, this is over for me. I'm not going to get recruited. It was terrible. It really was. I was like, what is happening? I've put in all this work and now it's going away. And so anyways, I still got recruited. I, went to UMass, Ohio, Lehigh, stuff like that. And then I was at a tournament, and like I said, I think everybody around me was just trying to get me on footing because I just was really struggling after the passing of my friend. And so I went to a tournament in Stockton. It was in Lodi, actually. And I'll never forget, I had like a breakout tournament, right? I hit like a triple. I stole home. I made all these incredible plays. And it was like everybody around me, we all took a deep breath and was like, okay, Lori has returned, in terms of like finding just joy in the game again. And I'll never forget that day I walked out of the complex and I got a business card from my coach, from Kathy Strahan, who is the head coach at Sac State. And, just moments happen. And I remember getting it and going, oh, I never thought about going to Sac State. I always thought about leaving California because I had obviously the recruiting opportunities to leave. And I got the card, and so, you know, and she was interested. So part of my visits was to go to Sac State, and I came on the visit, fell in love with the campus, the trees, the vision of what she wanted to do with the program, you know, the renovation of the field. And so, you know, and the other prospects that I had, I thought, you know what, I was at a point in my life as a senior after, like I said, losing my friend. I was like, I want to stay close to home. I don't think I want to leave. My friends were so important to me at that point. So I ended up getting the opportunity to come play at Sac State. So it was really cool. It was really cool.
That's awesome hearing that whole background. Because I mean, I've known her for so long. I've never once heard that before.
Yeah.
Were you guys playing around the same time?
Exact same time.
Exact same
time. Yep. You freshman fall of '98, right?
That's correct.
This is when basketball shorts down to here were like normal.
Totally.
Do I remember this correct? Did me and Matt take over the apartment that you guys moved out of in Westlake? Or did I make that matter?
We lived next door
to Adam
and Matt. Did you move? You moved next door
I
to them?
believe we moved into your apartment.
Yeah.
I just wanted. I've been saying that, and I was like, I gotta double check that I have that right. A lot of things blend in, but we were moving out of Fair Lake. You guys were about to move out, so we cruised on some couches to wait for you guys to move out.
That's right.
That's exactly what happened.
Yep.
So we moved into your apartment.
Totally.
That's how far we go back.
Yeah. So his best friends, like they lived next door to us, Adam and Matt. So we were all in each
Great
other's
guys.
space. They are great guys.
I love Adam.
Oh, you do?
well.
Good.
Yeah.
I had one of my freshman year fall. I had theater with, was it you and Adam?
Yes.
We got in trouble so much for talking in class. So funny story, I was a theater major that freshman fall semester. I was like, because I had grown up being on the stage and doing theater, background stuff, being actually in the plays. So I thought, this may be what I do. I love putting on events.
Yeah.
Like, you know, putting on a softball game is like putting on an event, right? I worked the World Series, the putting on an event. I love doing things like that. So theater is that type of experience. So I was like, I'm going to be a theater major. I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life.
That's hilarious.
So that freshman year, that was one of the reasons I took that class. It was you and I, Adam and Kelly.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and we got in trouble all the time for talking.
Oh,
all the time.
that's-
And I remember one time the professor like called me after class and was like, you are going to fail this class if you don't stop talking. And I think some of it was because like Kelly and I would flirt with Adam a lot too, you know, probably you as well. And so we were just dorks, you know, 18-year-old. Yeah.
He was flirting with Adam a lot, right?
He probably was.
whatever,
Yeah.
man.
I mean,
Adam
good
is cute.
Adam, if you're hearing
Everybody
this,
flirted with Adam.
Adam, you are a good-looking white boy.
That's so funny.
You mentioned the World Series and working the World Series.
Yeah.
This is a stupid question. I don't know why my brain doesn't function properly, but Division I cannot compete in the World Series, or am I wrong?
No.
Oh no, we can.
wait.
So what it is last year I was on the NCAA selection committee. So a part of our role is to facilitate the postseason if we're not actually playing in it.
Okay.
And so the Women's College World Series is the remaining 8 teams from Division I softball who then compete in a double elimination tournament called the Women's College World Series.
Got it. So Sac State can very
could be there.
well.
That's the plan, right?
100%. Yes. I mean, why are you doing this if you're not trying
Exactly.
to get to that part of the season?
Yeah. So now let's ask the next question then. So I'm guessing that competing against some of the bigger teams.
Yep.
Right? There has to be some differences in players because of recruiting, and I'm guessing some of the big schools like, I don't know, Texas, Oklahoma, that's a challenge because they're just such bigger schools in Sac State. So walk us through that. I mean, I'm guessing that a huge part of your job is recruiting,
Yes.
right? So can you just kind of touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. Trying to think of which
Well-
way you want me to go. Yeah.
well,
you wanna
I
be
guess
more specific.
So to hone it down, it's probably a challenge getting to that level, right? When you have to source talent, and there's only so many players that you can get to come to Sac State,
Right.
because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it is still considered a smaller school.
Right. It
compared
would
to
be
the bigger
in terms of
schools.
the pecking order a mid-major.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you have the Power 4 now. It used to be
Yeah,
Power 5
yeah.
and then mid-major. You know, first I would say softball, baseball are the 2 sports where at any time anybody can beat anybody. Because you think in basketball and football, right? Size, your ability
Yeah,
to take
exactly.
up space, my ability, if I'm a wide receiver and he's who covers the wide receiver?
DB,
The DB. Thank
yep.
you. Sorry. And like, if we're running down the field and it's between him and I to catch the ball, it's bigger, faster, stronger, right? So in the sport of softball, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. I could have a pitcher, maybe she only throws 58 and Texas's pitcher throws 68, right? Obviously, huge difference in velocity. She's probably going to, have a little bit more of an advantage because of the velocity. But if it doesn't move or she misses a location, our pitcher is able to throw them off balance enough, right? The ball gets hit to the shortstop every time instead of ours maybe just gets over her head. So there's so many pieces within the game that no matter who you have on the field, you have a fighting chance in every game. So I say that in terms of competitiveness. I have always, when we were at Sac State, when I played at Sac State, we beat UCLA, who was the #1 team in the nation at the time. That was incredible, right? And so obviously they were not very happy. And, we probably caught them on a day where they maybe took us lightly. And we were like, we're playing up for UCLA. I know, it was really cool. And so, we've had some of those notable wins. And now the challenge is being able to do that over a course of time. What is my #1 versus, a #2 for somebody else, right? And so in terms of their pitching staff. So all those things matter. Now, when it comes to the recruiting aspect of things, there's going to be things that, a Power 4 is going to offer that a Sac State can't, right? And now in the days of rev share and NIL. Thank you. I always get the national letter of intent piece flipped on that. But in terms of that stuff, now you have a whole different thing. So we all used to be if a fully funded softball team, you had 12 full rides, right? And you could disperse that amongst your teams. Like a basketball is a head count sport. So everybody's on a full ride or they're on nothing, right? You don't break up the scholarships. In softball, you have 12, but you're carrying 20 to 25 players, right? So it all gets broken down. You kind of had some of that even part of recruiting, but a kid may want to go to a Texas or an Oklahoma because there are, like I said, some pieces that, maybe you can't get at a Sac State or at another mid-major. I mean, there's a lot of schools in California that don't have football, right? And so some kids just want to have that football experience in addition to playing. They want to have that ability to compete for a conference championship. Some of these schools are at the World Series. We're not at the World Series yet, and so it's trying to recruit the players that have that drive, maybe want to stay close to home, or maybe they want to be a criminal justice major because we have one of the best criminal justice programs in the nation. So maybe they want to come here. It's being able to sort of just pluck a few here and there, but the recruiting piece is always going to be the challenging part. You want to sell what your university's about, sell the history of your program, obviously sell yourself, your coaching staff. I think we really have demonstrated that we have longevity. I've been there now. This is my 13th year. My associate head coach, Vicky Rios, has been with me now. I think she's going into her 9th year with me.
That's so awesome.
So you have some of that stability. I think a lot of people are looking for that too.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, too, it's showing demonstrated success, right? And so we're trying to really recruit the best level players that we can get. Like I could chase a kid that is only getting recruited by Power 4s and try to go down that. And maybe you pluck one every so often. Or you go after the players that you think are going to be a part of your program that maybe are getting overlooked, right? And maybe there's more that you can squeeze out of them. It's interesting. The recruiting answer is like I said, you could go 100 different varieties. I try to control what I can control. And that's understanding and showing how much I love Sac State and what I believe in it, trying to get that player, that prospect, that family to go, okay, we could see that. Like you have the opportunity to be a part of a team that's the first time going to the World Series, super regionals, that kind of stuff. So that opportunity is there. And you kind of just go back to that, why not us, right? I mean, was it John Harbaugh that we'd always say that, why not us when he was the head coach of the 49ers? Like at any given time. And you see some of these mid-majors like a JMU or Liberty, had a great run this year. And it's like that keeps the hope alive, in terms of like, hey, we can do this. It's possible. But there are areas that we have to grow and get better at. So.
You 100% can, and I've been impressed with the type of talent you've been able to consistently pull on there and everything like that. Now, I will say this, recruiting from the parent side.
Yes.
This is crazy, man. It's a process. When you have your studs, and they get to pick from everywhere. That's one thing. But the navigating, especially with it being my first time through, of where to play, who to associate with, what organization, and it also is a weird process of going out there and just trying to impress people who are only probably going to see you here and there. It's stressful.
It's wild.
It's stressful, but at the same time, that's coming from somebody who knows that this isn't the end of the world if you don't go a certain place, and it's not the be all end all. So I feel like I'm really level headed in it all, and it was still extremely stressful. Just want the best for your kid and everything. The longevity part with you being there for so long is, I believe, parents that are smart, that goes a long way. Like the change of the guard, and coaches move a lot and everything like that, but that's a big thing for people who know about sports, So, but I couldn't be more impressed with what I've seen out of you over the years, and the way that you recruit, the talent that you get there. You got some young studs there right now.
Yeah,
I'm super excited to see, and obviously because they're around my daughter's age, I'm like watching even closer, because these are girls that we've seen come up from 12U up. It's pretty cool.
Is it officially off season right now?
Fall?
No. We are in what is basically our fall segment. So we get the sport of softball, we get to practice and play games against other competitions. So we're in the process of that right now, where we're playing our 8 games. This is our last weekend of games. So right now, the last 4 weeks have been feeling like drinking out of a fire hose.
Yes.
It's because it's like a practice run for season. Season runs 4 months long, where fall is only about 5 weeks. So everybody's it's like next week and the following week it's like, okay, we can come up for air a little bit.
Is it traveling? Games are everywhere? Or?
No, we're mostly at home. We'll go to Davis this week, so we won't go that far. But like last weekend, we hosted Folsom Lake, which is close. We hosted College of San Mateo, so Bay Area. They came over, and then on Sunday we hosted Cal and Cal State Monterey Bay. So yes, so you are traveling. You can. We are fortunate where we got to stay home for most of our fall. Like I said, we'll go to Davis on Friday, so it's not too bad in terms of that. But it's very nice. And I was gonna say, back to the parent piece. I tell people, I've played, I've been a player. I've been a coach, and now I'm a parent, because my daughter, is 14, and we're going through it. And I'm like, by far, the hardest role is the parent role. By far, it's challenging just sitting there. I mean, I am, as a parent in the stands, it's
crazy. It's crazy. It's obviously, my background is basketball. You know how many of my 3 kids went into basketball? 0.
That's so funny.
So it's wild.
That's so funny.
But I've grown so fond of softball and baseball, and those are really different sports, but I truly believe way better than basketball, way better than football, like that. Those are the glamour sports, right? Those are terrible teachers of life, in my opinion. You can take a lot of things and apply it to life, but the patience that life has, when you strike out, you got to sit on it probably for 20, 30 minutes before you get back up. You sit in your mind so much.
Yeah.
It is not instant gratification. The stuff that I'm going through with my oldest son, he's 17, he's a senior, but he's at least drinking the Kool-Aid about the little behind the scenes that never gets to social media amount of work and what he's putting into his body. He won't realize this for probably 3-4 years.
Right.
It is crazy.
100%.
And I really enjoy that part of this sport, because that's more of what life is. It's not instant gratification.
Yeah. No, I mean, when we train our girls, I mean, and you're exactly right. I could be a second baseman. I could get one ball the whole game, and I make a mistake on it, and that will, depending on the type of person you are, that would eat you out. I mean, for me, I would sit on it.
I know.
I'd be very upset. And then if you don't get another at bat and you don't get another ball, you're like, I've just, I've given nothing today. And that's not the truth of the matter. There are areas in which you give to the game within the game. Maybe you're not directly affecting the X's and O's, but maybe you're giving to somebody else that's coming up to bat, like, hey, I struck out. This curveball really breaks off the plate. Get on top of the plate a little bit to reach it.
Yep.
That information could help your teammate in their next at bat. You are giving to the game in that regard.
For sure.
They always say, softball, baseball is a game of failure. So it is. It's being able to be comfortable to some extent failing, or using the perceived failure to empower you in the next opportunity, right? And that's the big piece on life. Like, in a basketball, I could pass the ball and it could get stolen, but then I could go back and then block the shot immediately and atone for it.
Yeah.
Where in baseball and softball, you may have some time between those abilities in terms of your physical ability.
Yeah.
So all of that comes to play. And when we practice, it's constant, finish the play. So
Yep.
if we're just doing a team throw around with a coach led and that's hitting, let's say I hit to the pitcher, it rebounds off her glove. The shortstop's right there. She's picking it. She's finishing the play to first, right? Or we could just have the ball go off her glove and then, okay, kill it, move on. No, we finish the play because that's what it's going to be like in the game, right? We want to always try to practice game-like so that way the standard is always there.
Yeah.
That way it's not the first time you're doing it is in a game.
Yeah.
So we really try to preach that with them.
I love it.
A lot.
I love
I'm
it.
getting excited for practice.
I know, right?
Later on.
It's almost time. We'll start to wrap this up. But just to kind of close that thought out, we always hear it's a game of failure, and I've switched that to how I'm saying it to my kids because it's a game of opportunity to me.
Right.
And
yeah.
what I mean by that is when you have what's perceived as a failure out there, it's your opportunity to learn from that, make the adjustment at the next at bat. How do you rebound forward? It's always an opportunity because I guess I'm just assuming here, but when everybody's playing well, that's easy.
Right.
And what I'm assuming most coaches want to see is how you react to something not going right, to see if something about the player. Is that safe to assume?
100%, always. Yeah. I'm always paying attention to how do we handle success and how do we handle failure? Because those are two things. A lot of people think, oh, you got to respond from failure, and that's 100% correct. But also, how do you respond from doing well as well? Like I've had players in the past who have done really well, and all of a sudden now they've lost a little notch in their training. The habits aren't going, oh, I'm doing good,
Good call.
I had a pitcher years ago, and I love this girl to death, and she got pitcher of the year her sophomore year. Went in the summertime, didn't really put the work in, didn't pitch bad as a junior, but not to the standard. And she was not happy about that. She was like, I let that success get to my head and I didn't put the work in. And she admitted it too. That's what the unique part about her. She's so cool. And I get to see her every so often because she still lives on campus. I was actually walking to campus or riding my bike the other day, and she was like, Coach Perez. I'm like, oh my gosh. But anyways, and so she came back and really got after it. And then senior year got pitcher of the year again for the conference, and she was a part of leading us to a conference championship too, so you get that. But it's being able to understand it. And that's a part of life right now. We get that instant gratification, and we're really trying to, I think, as parents, you guys are all probably experiencing this, where you're seeing kids get really frustrated about things and wanting it to come faster. And we get that, so truly trying to understand, okay, getting lost in the process of doing things and understanding that even though you're not seeing the product of it right now, just really focus on getting 1% better every single day.
There it
just
is.
in some little area, get 1% better.
Yeah.
And so just trying to preach that, because then eventually it'll come together. Like the Atomic Habits has this really great part in it where it talks about the basically your plateau. And so it's like what we think our progress is going to be when we work on something and then what it actually is, and so it's the plateau of latent potential. That's what it's called. Our players have heard this from me a million times. They're so dorked out by me.
You're getting so much free game. You're getting this.
He's a volleyball coach
He's a volleyball
here.
coach.
He's a volleyball coach.
Very good. For men's or for girls or boys? Both.
Yeah,
Wow, look at you.
13's girls and then 18's boys.
13's girls.
13's girls.
And Nate just turned 21, so
Good
he's
for you.
So
That's
just like it
phenomenal.
wasn't,
he's my baby brother.
Really?
No.
Oh, so I guess don't look alike at all.
The Filipinos, how they do it,
Yes,
they kind of adopt you,
Yeah.
they bring you in, so they call me the Kuya, but I'm friends with his older brother, used to
Nice.
work with me.
Very
And that's
cool.
how I met Nate. And now Nate's staying at my Midtown property. That's a rental property.
Very cool.
And he's the master behind all of this. He
Well,
does
you're in the full-on hustle right now.
He
That's
is.
what I call it. It's the post, like the early 20s hustle is so important. Like when I graduated, I coached a high school softball team. I gave lessons at a softball school, and I bartended at a restaurant. And I worked every single day of the week. And
In
it's
Sacramento?
tough. In Sacramento.
What restaurant?
The Spaghetti Factory.
Let's go! Wait a minute. You're telling me my mind is blown that the old Spaghetti Factory has a bar?
Yes, in Midtown. Yes. Oh, it's a great little bar, and it's an old train station bar
Yes.
too.
Oh,
The
the
bar
one at
is
the- yeah.
so the train runs right by there.
Yeah.
So you used to have a stopping point right there. People would come and they would wait to take the train. They would stop in that bar. I mean, you go
I
in
know.
there.
That's so
I know why.
classic
I know
things.
why you got a job there. That's that Italian North Beach. Your
Maybe.
grandma, grandpa, and
Yeah,
you're like,
maybe.
let me go work at the old spaghetti
Yeah.
factory.
Well, so when I graduated, so I got done playing and I had one semester left, and it's like, starving college student. I needed a job. My best friend worked there. So I was like, okay, I'll go be a server. I hated serving. It was tough there because at Spaghetti Factory, you got to bring the bread, you
Yeah.
got to do the salad or the soup, right? And then you've got the meal, and then you got the spumoni or the
Yep.
vanilla. I mean, and then people love that it's cheaper, which is awesome, but you're turning burning. And I just never, I enjoyed serving people, but I don't know. It was really stressful. So they had a cocktail waitressing job open in the bar. And I was like, okay, I'll do that too. That sounds a little bit more my
Yeah.
speed. And I remember I went in there and after a few weeks, I was killing it. Like the sales were
Yeah.
up. I was selling tortellini appetizers. I had the drinks and all that. I was doing the things. And there were these two women that worked in the bar that you could not infiltrate the bar. Like those were the people that worked in the bar, and most people who tried made them mad because they didn't understand the particular nature that these women wanted. So kind of back to my grandmother was very particular on how
Yeah.
she likes things, right?
Yeah.
The women in my family have always been that way. I'm probably the same way. So I got an opportunity to work a Sunday shift in the bar, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I didn't know what I was doing. There was no training. The two women were not interested in training me because they didn't, whatever.
Yeah.
I got done. I prepped the heck out of that bar. I had all the lemon slice, all
Yeah.
the lime slice. I had it. Everything was clean. There was not one piece of syrup on any countertop. It was dialed in. One of the women comes in and she walks in and she was ready to be like, she didn't do this, she didn't this. And she was like, oh, you already cut these, huh? And I'm like, yeah, oh yeah. And I was like, oh, and I prepped this. You don't even have to worry about this. So after a few weeks, I kind of penetrated that thing. And so then they
Nice.
started giving me a Thursday night shift, and now a Friday night shift. And then, like Friday, Saturdays, those
yeah.
are those key
Oh,
moments,
yeah.
right? Because then you've got all of the crowd over there down in Midtown
Yeah.
that are coming in, kind of getting a meal before they go out. And I was killing it in there. So then I ended up getting the regular shifts in those evenings. And then when they couldn't work, I got it. So yeah, and I am. It's back to that, as a kid growing up, my grandparents, they always would host people. And I love doing that kind of
You're a
stuff.
driver. You from the disc profile, like.
Oh yeah, from the disc profile. I was like, what do you?
As she's like,
Oh, I'm a D.
High
I
D.
am
Yeah.
totally a D.
High D.
very, very
High
high
D.
D.
Yeah, we had our whole team assessed, not last year, but the year before. We had somebody come in, and we're doing it again
Yeah.
this year, and they were
for
skilled
you.
in that. So we got the whole compilation, the DISC, right? And so by nature, I'm normally an SC, but under stressful situations, because you have it on two parts, so you're kind of your regular operation and our whole entire team, there was only one D, and I was the only
That's
one.
funny.
And I thought, yeah,
See,
that clocks.
That was
yeah.
spot on.
Yeah, like
Good
when
call.
like when you throw yourself into a situation where you're like, all right, here you go, and there's not a lot of planning, training, and you're like, what do I do? Like the driver probably kicks in.
Totally,
Yeah,
100%.
it's crazy.
That's
another good book. Have you heard of Strengths Finder?
I have not, no.
Okay, we'll have like Rene send you a. I'm like
Please.
huge on that book, and they
Okay.
do. There's a total of 32 themes. It's like the disc, but it's way more in depth.
Okay.
So it's cool.
Love that.
Could
I'm
be
a
good
big
book,
reader,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
I would love that. Yeah.
How many? So real quick for the listeners. So when does the official season kick off?
So we will open up the second weekend of February. Generally falls on Super Bowl. They moved the Super Bowl, a few years ago. So that first weekend, we will co-host a tournament with UC Davis. So we'll open up at home. It's around February. I think our first game is either February 5th or February 6th at home. Yeah, and then we'll kick off, and then it'll go from there. We'll be at home for that tournament. Then we go to Grand Canyon for a tournament. We'll go down to Cal Poly for a tournament. Then we're back home the last weekend of February, first weekend of March. We'll play home, and then we'll go up to Oregon for a tournament. Then we'll go up to Seattle for a 3-game series. Mid-March, we'll host University of San Diego for a 3-game series. And then conference play starts. And then it's go time for Big Sky Championship. So
Spring is crazy.
So how many games total in the regular season?
We are allowed to play 56 in our regular season.
Crazy, right?
I don't generally play 56. That's a lot of games. We'll usually get around 51, 52. It would just be to get to 56. It would run us into the ground.
Yeah.
A lot of these players are not used to playing 7 innings.
Yeah,
As Rene knows,
big time.
in travel ball, they play timed games because they're trying to fit in all the games. And so they may play 5 innings.
Yeah.
A pitcher may throw
rarely
twice
too,
through an
swear.
order, right? So we're really teaching them how to
Yeah.
play when they get to us a lot of times. High school's helpful. The high school championships
Mm-hmm.
games are helpful. The national tournaments are helpful because then they'll generally play 7 innings. But by the time they get to us in college, that's not a commonplace
Yeah.
for them. They don't get to experience that. So it can really be a very long day.
It is.
For them mentally and physically. So yeah, so 56 is that target. And then, like I said, we usually around 51, 52, and then you have conference tournament. And then you win that, you get your AQ, unless you get an at-large berth. And and then it's postseason time. So
Yes,
that's
is.
really when the magic really gets going.
We're
too.
going to a game together.
No
Yes, you
question.
should.
I
on,
def-
on record.
Yeah.
No question. I'm going to bring him out there. Obviously, always love that first tournament that you
Yeah.
guys host. I've always been around for those and everything, but you got to see it, man. It's another level. I'm so impressed by the level of athlete, and we're talking about, they're not power 4. It doesn't matter. There are studs everywhere on the field, and I'm so
Totally.
impressed by it.
Yeah.
So wait till you see, man.
No,
Can't
they're
wait.
fun. We got some girls that can really drive it out of the park.
Oh,
They
yeah.
can and we've got some new players too that are just very athletic. I'm just constantly amazed by the things
Yay.
that they do. I'm like, oh my gosh. I
Oh,
was like,
my
I wouldn't have
goodness.
been able to do that.
I
in college.
love it.
Yeah, they're
I love it.
ballers. So, and I love being around them. They're fun. It's a fun group
Yeah.
too. You're gonna sit in the stands and you're going to have that player that you're going to gravitate towards or be like, wow, watch that dynamic. And we really teach them a lot about communicating, pointing, talking. And this group, more than anyone I've had in the last few years, really collaborate well in the field. They've got a lot of energy and like I said, it's a dynamic piece. And then at any point, really, I mean, almost 1 through 9, somebody can drive it out of the park.
yeah.
So that's really
Damn.
cool. It's fun. Yeah, last year we broke our home run record. We hit 67 last year, which the girls yesterday. Somebody was
Oh
like, what
my
was the range?
God.
I know, the stupid 6'7". I was like, oh, Lord. I was like, y'all don't know the Farmer's Almanac, but you know 6'7", which has no meaning at all. Yeah.
So we'll have fun with this.
so good.
Who's going to be my favorite player, do you think?
Oh, gosh. Depends on what you're drawn to.
I don't know, man. I'm drawn to I like loud attitude,
Yeah.
charisma, outspoken.
Yeah, you'll
That
like our shortstop, Maddie Mendoza. She's a transfer in. She was Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year as a sophomore. So we were really fortunate to get her over as a transfer this year. And she's that person. She's dynamic. We have a few of them. It's her, Ava, who's one of our freshmen, Jenna Birch, who's a local player as well. She's another one that you're going to see just kind of command a room. So those are kind of those 3 that stand out in terms of that. So I think
Maddie Mendoza,
I think that may be your
Shortstop?
girl. Yeah.
that's locked in here now.
Yeah. She's one of those people that as she plays, she gets lost in the game. I almost think she doesn't even forgets about the fans. And it's almost like it's always backyard playground style for her. I was watching film from our game this past weekend and we threw the girl out and the camera angle I was watching was from center field and she tags the girl out and she's kind of running away but looking at the girl and kind of just, I was like, oh my gosh.
Swagger.
Like, yeah. Oh, 100%.
Where did she come from?
She's from El Paso, Texas area, Arizona. She's lived in both. I think her kind of claim is Texas, El Paso area. So yeah, we've been recruiting a little bit
exciting.
outside of California lately too. So getting a few. Next year we're bringing in a kid from Hawaii and Texas as well. So it's cool. Even though
I love
our
hearing it.
main recruiting hub though is Sacramento first, California branched out, and then we've expanded a little bit more.
I agree, and it doesn't surprise me that you can pull from other places because the reality is, and especially now, I want to get your take on this just after this question as well, but the reality is it's such a great campus. It's crazy different from when we were back there, and you've seen it all. So actually just dig right into it. As we start to wrap up here, things are really exciting around campus. There's a lot of differences there. Coach Marion's doing crazy stuff. There's concerts after football games. We got Bibby on campus and Shaq's there and all the recruiting there. So in the campus itself, basketball was fighting for an arena before I even stepped on campus. And now they're going to be moving into the well and everything. There's so many exciting things. What do you think this looks like for you? You've been there throughout, specifically about softball. What does this look like for you in the next few years?
Right, right. I was gonna say, as a student, and as a former student athlete, really the turn I feel like started with President Nelson.
Uh-huh.
He was
Yes.
a huge
Yes.
sports person,
Uh-huh.
and he showed up to our pink game in a pink tutu. I think we were playing
That's so
Davis, and I
funny.
was like, "Girls, your president of the university is in the stands in a pink
That's
tutu supporting you. You better
hilarious.
win this game." And they're like, "Oh," but he really helped to just set an expectation standard. He started funneling support to us
Uh-huh.
as well. Then you have obviously President Luke Wood now, who's
Mhm.
wanting to kind of carry the torch and
Correct.
take it to the next level. And in terms of softball, it's always trying to have the vision of what's coming next,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when I first got here, where we wanted to be and setting championship standards every single year and recruiting locally and building up our local base and really getting people excited about Sac State softball.
Mhm.
We get hundreds of people in the
Mhm.
stands. Our players are, sitting and signing autographs oftentimes an hour after the game, right? And that's a part of the vision of what we wanted to do. More camps, more opportunities to touch the program, be exposed to it. Our players being in the community a little bit more, but then backing it up with success on the
Yes.
field and the standard of what we want, right? And obviously, when it comes to recruiting, like we talked about before, it's who you bring in. It's really vetting those players and then coaching the heck out of them,
Yeah.
right? And hopefully getting that success. It doesn't guarantee it, right? And then now it's looking into the future of the vision of what we want to do. The sport of NCAA has changed in
Mhm.
terms of what you can do for your players and how you can take care of them or how they can financially benefit. And so now it's having that vision long term of what that looks like for us to be competitive in that aspect, and is there backing within the department and all that, and obviously our athletic director Mark Orr and all that he's pouring in and just the vision he's brought in has been incredible. So for softball, for us, it's continuing to do the things that we're doing really well, right? And like I said, engaging in the community more, continuing to find ways once we get lights in our field,
Yeah.
right? And then it's going to be
Yes.
5 o'clock games instead of 2 o'clock
Mhm.
games, right? That's a whole nother dynamic in terms of the community and that access for them to see us play. And then really, a part of what I'm trying to do right now is, get the financial backing in terms of being able to not only recruit really great players that can come and be a part of the program, but retain the players that are, getting it done
Yeah.
and making them feel. Because the last thing I would want to do is have a kid be like, I love being here. I love the campus. I love you. I love the team, but I'm getting this opportunity.
Yeah.
Can I get it here? I'd stay here if I can. It's
I love it. Yeah,
it's
I
that's
understood.
obviously one of those things I think as a coach, you're constantly looking of going, okay, how do we adjust? I can't just sit on my hands and go, well, we're just going to do things the way we've been doing them and we're going to assume success. No, that would be stupid. You have to evolve with time. And instead of me feeling like, okay, the burden of it, I see it as an opportunity, right?
Yes.
I'm like, oh, this is okay. Now, how can we leverage this for our own
Yeah.
success and the people in our community? And how can we be that kind of poster team on campus that people are drawn to come to and watch? And because we do a lot of things, hopefully the right way. That's the goal. And we demonstrate really good habits. And I think the cool thing about our sport too and our team is any kid can sit in the stands and see somebody they identify
Oh, yeah.
with. You know
Big
what I mean?
time.
And
Big time.
that's the cool part about, you sit in a softball game and like I said, any girl just sitting there can be like, oh my gosh, she looks like me, or she plays like me,
That's
or
so
she's a lefty hitter, or
Yes.
she has speed, or she hits for power. Oh, look at that catcher. She, and that's where you're seeing that really cool connection with the younger community. So we're trying to, be that as much as we can. Yeah.
Chris, I told you how excited I was about this.
Yeah.
How amazing is this woman?
Well, to
man?
say
Incredible.
too, the thing we're trying to teach our players is to be really servant leaders
Yeah,
within the community.
exactly.
As my job as the head coach is to be a servant leader, right? I'm the head of the program, but I'm serving the program every single day.
Yes, you
right?
are.
And through my leadership and through the demonstration, and really trying to pass that torch on to our players
Yeah.
as well, and understanding not only is your goal to come and play softball and win championships, your goal is to come here and get a degree. And honestly, the other big piece for me is teaching them how to graduate and be great people
There it is.
be great citizens in your community.
There it is.
Right, and serve others. That's a big piece of it, because that I feel like is a big part that's been lost in community right now.
100%.
So hopefully we can build that within our program as well.
You're leading by example.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Sac State's in incredible hands.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Man.
developing. And yes, I again, thank you so much for sharing your story in the lounge. You are a pillar of this community
Aw.
because I know so much about softball and how big it is here, and people look up to your organization, and you're doing amazing things. I'm honored to have you here in the lounge. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I was going to say the next thing we're trying to do too, I'm starting to work with USA Softball to put
Oh,
on some more
nice.
coaches clinics in the area.
See, that
So we do a lot of softball for the younger girls, which is still going to happen and increase. But one of the big pieces that I'm working with one of the women that works with USA Softball in the Sacramento area is start to put on more coaches clinics, because I really, that's a passion of mine,
That's
is
huge.
teaching others how to really have an impact at that younger level as well. So
Yeah.
I hope we'll get the word out here, and hopefully that'll
Please
be
do.
coming here in the next month. We're trying to get the next meeting set up. Once, like I said, once our fall segment slows down, then I can take that ball and start to run with it.
Well, here's the thing. When you do have stuff that you want to get word out to, please continue to keep us in the loop. We can do little stuff and push it out as well, because
Cool.
we just want to support you in every way, because this entire community is behind you.
And on the next like long road trip, make sure you tell all of your players that they can tune into the podcast. It's on YouTube, Spotify.
Yeah,
So they
I
can tune
will.
in and get some good laughs and hear some amazing stories.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "Oh gosh, she brought up the Farmer's Almanac." There we go. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, they're too funny. So,
Amazing,
yeah.
amazing. Well, thank you, everybody. We're out.